So, in a very short amount of time, Toronto is going to turn to shit. Like right now, with the refugee crisis that is going on right now at our border, which sounds small compared to what's going on in Europe and stuff, but nonetheless, this we are already seeing signs of how it is affecting Toronto, how it is affecting Montreal, and right now, what they're doing in Toronto is they're converting community centers into temporary housing facilities. So, starting Thursday, refugee claimants arriving in Toronto without shelter will be housed at a Centennial College Residence and Conference Center in Scarborough. And, since April 19th, 368 refugee claimants have entered the city's shelter system. At the current arrival rate, more than half of the shelter population could be refugee claimants by November. So that is bullshit. That is ridiculous. Half of the people in our freaking shelters and stuff, and now we are having to build like community centers into shelters, are going to be housed of fucking refugees. Now that is insane. Clearly, we cannot handle that many people. That is, way past our capacity, way past the amount of infrastructure that we have available. Now, when this whole fucking refugee crisis started happening, Trudeau imported like I don't know how many, like 30,000 people, and we still don't even have a lot of those people in permanent residency, which is bullshit. They shouldn't even be on welfare and housing to begin with, but we put them up in hotel rooms. Like when they were here, they stayed in hotel rooms for months and months and months, and it cost the Canadian taxpayers fucking billions and billions of dollars. And now we can't even use our fucking community centers. Like, this is for the community. It's not for refugees. Now with the poor kids that rely on these community centers in Canada can no longer go there. Are you fucking serious? And now if they go there, they're going to be surrounded by random fucking refugees that whom they don't know, and who knows, like, I'm not sure if it's the same stock of refugees, right, that were coming into Europe and stuff. They're all like Pakistani and Muslim, so maybe they're not going to be like the same as rapey and shit. But nonetheless, this is bullshit. We do not, our resources are for Canadians, and Trudeau, the Liberals in Toronto and shit, which is why you need to get fucking Doug Ford in there, is gonna fuck you. Like, if this continues, like, this is not sustainable. Like they said, half of the fucking people in our shelters are gonna be refugees. That's bullshit. There's a flow out of the shelters. The city says it has found permanent residence for 1,720 refugee claimants since January 1st, 2017. But that is nowhere near, what you need to do. And nonetheless, it's like, why is the government, they work so hard for everybody that isn't an actual native born Canadian. They'll move mountains to get you in housing. I wonder how many bureaucrats it took to move these 1,700 people into permanent housing. Why the fuck do they have permanent housing? If you're capable of getting these people in permanent housing, why can't you get the average fucking bum in permanent housing? Now, I'm not for this whole redistribution of wealth and putting, bums and this and that in housing. But if we're not going to be putting our own bums in housing and giving our own bums houses that actually have ancestors who contributed to the growth of the nation, who probably had ancestors who fought and died in World War I and II, if they don't get anything, that's fucking bullshit. And then these refugees who have no, they were in America, first of all. And some of these people that are coming to Canada are literally flying into America and then just going across the border. They're not even fucking refugees. So it's bullshit. And these people, they're not refugees also. They were once they were in America, they were safe, and now they're country hopping. So they're not running from anything. And I know the media is going to tell you, oh, evil, mean Trump hates these immigrants and is going to do bad, mean things to them. But so far he's been in the office, nothing has happened to anybody like that. So, and nothing will happen. So all these fears that the media is trying to drive into you about these evil right-wing people is all fucking bullshit. It's just to get you to go along with their fucking narrative of bringing in all of these fucking cheap laborers, because that is what they were going to do. Already Trudeau he has made it so a lot of these people coming in are already getting work passes speeded right away. So right away now they're going to be influencing the market. They're going to be stagnating wages because you just imported a bunch of fucking cheap labor. Like this is proof that the liberals, that even a lot of conservatives that are for this mass immigration or for these illegal border crossings are not for you. They do not care about you, because they would not be stealing your money and handing it to people who don't fucking deserve it. And I feel sorry for people who come from these terrible countries, but nonetheless, that doesn't change the fact that you are stealing, or our government is stealing from us and giving it to you. That the money that you don't deserve. You don't deserve it. And even in fucking Winnipeg, where I live, I look at the fucking shelters, and there's like a lineup of like 20, 30 people there all the time now. That is bullshit. A lot of these charities are non-profit, or people donating money, and they're hoping we give that money to people in Canada because we hope it's going to be given to people in Canada. If I want to give money to people in Africa and stuff, I'm going to donate to fucking Africa, okay? If not, I want to donate to my local fucking community to help my local fucking community. But, like I said, they're moving these people into housing. We have Canadians, try like the average white Canadian try to get on welfare, on social housing, on any of these things. Good fucking luck compared to people who have been who came into Canada illegally, and we'll give you all this shit. It's like we're gonna Canada's gonna be an entire resemblance of California eventually. Like if it was Trudeau's way and the NDP's way, you guys would look like California. And please do not vote for the NDP. Like a lot of people in Toronto and stuff, they're thinking to vote for the NDP just despite the Liberals and the Conservatives. That will fuck you. Like these people are even worse than Liberals. They're pretty much communists. Like if you let them, go into your country, go into your province and start running shit, you're gonna end up looking like fucking Manitoba, which had the NDP as our fucking premier for like 15 fucking years. So that's one of the reasons why we're one of the more poorer provinces. Alberta was doing really well when it had a conservative government. Now, regardless of what political affiliation the government is, they're all corrupt, right? Some less so than others, and I can handle the Conservatives' corruption more so than I can handle the NDP and the Liberals' corruption, because at the very least they're going to be implementing some policies that I like and might reduce the government to some extent and make it a little bit more business friendly for people, which will help me and help people I know get fucking good jobs, and will actually try to reduce immigration. I don't know about Andrew Scheer. I don't know too much about him, if he's even for that, but nonetheless, these are the people who tend to be for these positions. People on the right, people who are more conservative. But don't vote for fucking the NDP. Whatever you do, Doug Ford is 1,000 times better than that. And if you let the NDP run your shit, Toronto is gonna look a lot worse than it looks now. It's gonna look like fucking London with Sadiq Khan and stuff, right? It's not gonna be good. And it's like, not only that, the city anticipates something like, not including the emergency plan costs, the city anticipates incurring a $64.5 million bill by the end of 2018 for direct costs related to motel housing for refugee claimants. So see, we're putting them up in motels for $60 million. We're like, this is crazy. How are Canadians not more angry about this? But the reason they aren't, or they're silent about it, is because they're convinced by the media, by everybody else, that if you say anything negative, if you say anything against this, that you don't want them here, you're hateful, you're racist, you're a bigot, yada yada yada, right? Where it's like, no, this is just pragmatism. This is just being a fucking good person by caring about you and your family and those of your community first. Like any good person is going to do that first. Is going to take care of his family. Is going to take care of this community, as opposed to people he doesn't even fucking know. That he doesn't know anything about them, whether they, and especially if they come into the country illegally, right? If you're going to go help people who have broken the law and who are taking from people who have, or are in your country and who have donated to your country and helped it become the good country it is today, you're a piece of shit. Plain and simple. You know, you can dress it all up like you care about immigrants and you care about, you know, diversity and all this bullshit. But at the end of the day, you're just exploiting one group at the behalf of another. And, you know, you're exploiting the wrong group. You shouldn't be exploiting anybody. But you're not morally good because you're stealing from somebody else and giving it to somebody else. That doesn't make you a morally good person. And this is the problem with socialists and leftists and all this shit. They think like, oh, you want to reduce welfare? You're a terrible person. You're horrible. It's like, no, I actually donate money. I'm actually willing to give my money to people to help them when they need it. And, you know, not just give money, but give actual emotional support, give advice. Like, these are the ways to help people out of poverty. It's not just throwing money at them. We've seen what this does. We've seen the increase in the single mother rate over the years, and this is because of the policy of just, you know, we're gonna pay you to be a single mother. We're gonna pay you to be fucking unsuccessful. We're gonna pay you to do fucking nothing. So the more you pay people to do nothing, the more you're gonna get nothing. The more you pay people to do, you know, this shit, the more you're gonna get of it. But, you know, it's the same with this. How we're throwing money at these people. You're just incentivizing more people to cross the border. Now, this whole blaming Trump for his fucking tweet and his changes in policy can only go for so long, you know? It was Trudeau's fault, who said, everybody come into Canada, we have open doors, we accept whoever the fuck you want, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter who you are, what religion, race, whatever, we'll take you in. It was his fault, and it's the inaction of the Liberals to change the Safe Third Country Agreement Act. It would be an easy fix. Easy fucking fix. But they're refusing to do it. They're acting like it's complicated fucking work. But it really isn't, you know. And, you know, like the mayor and all these, you know, people and shit. It's like Mayor John Tory has called the senior government to provide a coordinated regional response, including the provision of shelter space outside Toronto and sustainable funding to address all municipal costs for refugee claimant services. So, you know, he wants to build like more refugee camps outside of Toronto's borders. We're going to have like literal camps like, you know, they have in France and all this shit. You know, like, oh my God. And then they're going to tell other provinces, oh, well, you got to take some too. Well, you got to take some too. This is what's going to happen. They're all going to overflow in Montreal, overflow in Toronto, and then they're going to be like, well, you guys got to take. It's going to be like the EU with fucking Europe, or I mean, with Germany telling fucking, you know, all these other countries they got to take fucking refugees because, you know, to distribute the burden and stuff. It's like, well, are these people really a burden? I thought they were, you know, contributing members of society who are going to bring lots of wealth and all this shit, you know? But no, they won't. They're just going to bring fucking, at the very worst, crime and, you know, fucking terrorism and all this shit. And at the very least, they're going to be a huge burden and cost to everybody. And it's fucking ridiculous. And enough of this fucking virtue signaling from the left. You know, people in Canada, we need to not be afraid of being called racist. We need to not be afraid of losing this idea that the rest of the world has of us, that we're really nice and polite. Sure, we can be polite and shit, but we need to take care of our own. That's the simple matter of it. You know, I have not worked since I was like 13 years old straight. So, you know, I could have all my taxpayer money go to somebody else. You know, I know it's not going to whatever causes anyways. You know, it's being wasted regardless. But bringing in a bunch of people as well, and once that system does collapse, you know, you're asking for a lot of bad shit to happen, because at least when everybody knows each other as a community, and everybody, and then there's like a collapse in the economy or something, then people at least will work together and stuff. And but if they're all strangers and very culturally different, people are gonna separate, and there's gonna be more tribal fucking warfare. And it's going to be, instead of all kind of working together, we're going to be like, well, we got to take this shit from this group because this group has more of it and this group has less of it, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, just, you know, vote Doug Ford in, and hopefully he at least tries to address some of these issues. But it really comes down to the federal election. And, you know, even voting in Andrew Scheer, I'm not sure if he's going to do that much more when it comes to immigration, but at the very least, he's not going to do what Trudeau is doing, and definitely not what the NDP would do as well, because they'd probably just mirror the same things that the Trudeau Liberals are doing, but probably even worse, because they're, you know, full-blown socialists, and I wouldn't trust anything that they put forward. But that's all I pretty much had to say. If you like my content, subscribe and have a good day. See ya.